Healy stomps him forward. Briskin's onside. Can he get away? He's inside the area just to keep it a beat, and he's done it! Thomas Briskin lifts the roof off Portman Road. The ball is in the back of Chesney's net. Get this for a scoreline. Ipswich Town 1, Arsenal 0.
It's one of those games where you come away thinking, well, this is why I go to watch football, because the season had been rubbish.
Keane had just been sacked. We just lost to Chelsea 7-0 in Parliament charge.
Most noise that ground has made for, over the last 10, 15 years. It was absolutely fantastic.
And then the ball hit the back of the net, and I just remember bedlam.
That's why we go. That's why we go. And I just thought, what?
The memories of him scoring that is just, that'll stay with me forever.
Ipswich Town 1, Arsenal 0. A scoreline made famous back in 1978 as the Blues beat the Gunners at Wembley to lift the FA Cup for the first time in their history. Shoot forward over 30 years to 2011, Town had just sacked manager Roy Keane and was struggling in the Championship. A 7-0 defeat to Chelsea put them out of the FA Cup, but the League Cup, well, that was a different story entirely. A remarkable cup run had already seen off the likes of Exeter, Crewe, Millwall, Northampton and even Premier League side West Bromwich Albion. Town were through to the semi-finals. An amazing achievement really, given their league form, but up next was a seemingly impossible challenge. A two-legged semi-final against high-flying Arsenal. The game at Portman Road is fondly remembered as one of the greatest victories in recent history. This is an in-depth recap of that famous win 10 years on.
Our form in the league wasn't great overall. It was a nice distraction and it escalated. And for me, I had only just been made captain it might have even been the first round that we played in at Exeter, just before that game. So then for me, it turned out to be a good cup. I scored 2 in that game. I think in extra time, I scored the winner against Crewe. Obviously, we beat West Brom from the Premier League. So it was a nice distraction for us in what was a very up and down and a bit of a tough first half of the season.
It's funny really, I was thinking earlier just how I was at sixth form at that time. It was my first year at sixth form. Obviously, getting really excited as I left school, getting ready to go to the game. Obviously, Keane had just been sacked. We just lost to Chelsea 7-0 in Parliament charge. And then obviously, it lost 7-0. And then we go to play Arsenal at home. I know his caretaker runs not going to be very good. Obviously, George is going to be in charge next game, so we're in that kind of transition period.
Going to the ground was kind of weird as we got there, because outside the ground it was buzzing. All the streets, sort of around Sir Alf Ramsey Way, Constantine Road, chock-a-block. That's weird in itself. I remember saying to my dad, "This is what it should be like all the time," and unfortunately, it's probably only been like that another 1 or 2 times in those 10 years since. There was even, for some reason, like TV screens outside the ground. I remember that really well as well. Like by the Alf Ramsey statue, there was like a TV screen. I don't even know what it was showing, but again, it's like it made it feel a bit more special. And then you go inside the grounds to the Britannia stand. Again, you don't normally see it that full, and literally around our block, which was, or still is, the family block, we didn't normally have a full block, and every seat was filled. And again, it just made it feel more special.
We travelled together as a family, like we always do. We actually travelled through Newmarket, was the reason why we were late to pick up an Arsenal season ticket holder who lived in the same village that we lived in South Cambridgeshire. And yeah, getting to the ground, got there late, which we would often do because of the A14 and getting into Ipswich. But for these big games, when we used to be in big games, you always underestimate, or we always underestimated how it affected the town as a whole. We'd be late because you couldn't get a parking space, run into the ground, that excitement after getting battered 7-0 by Chelsea at the weekend, we thought we'd be 2 or 3 down by the time that we got there.
You go to Chelsea, you get beat 2, maybe 3-0. It's you know, they're a top side. It's not the end of the world. But to get beat 7, it's embarrassing. And as a player, it's embarrassing. It's one of them, like, I don't want to see or speak to anyone for the next week or two. And at that time, you're thinking, and we've got Arsenal next, you know, another top side. So it's thinking, wow, how much damage limitation we need to do here just to try and get some sort of pride back. So it was worrying. Like I say, it was really tough after the Chelsea one. As good a team as they are, 7-0 is not good, not acceptable, and it was really embarrassing. I didn't know what was going to get from the team. So obviously I was the captain, and we had a few other characters in there, and it did feel, to be fair, it felt like we weren't going to just sink. It wasn't like, wow, this is the end of the world, we're not going to get out of this. It was nice to have that game coming around so quick and against a team who, as good as they are, that we thought, if we can get in their faces, if we can just step up for the plate, you know, for a big game, you know, we probably can cause them a few problems. And so our mentality was a little bit different. It wasn't all doom and gloom. We was just embarrassed after the Chelsea game, but it felt like just before the Arsenal game, then 1 or 2 days, it was right. Let's get some pride back. Let's do something here. Let's produce a performance. And so the feeling was a little bit more positive.
I remember standing outside at the burger van at Portman Road with some Arsenal fans, and they were saying, and we were like, you know, what's the score going to be? Rugby score probably. And they were like, no, there's a chance you guys could win this. We always mess games like this up. And I was like, no chance.
I'd use magical to describe it. As I was mascot, I was pretty starstruck, like, you know, with all the big Arsenal players there, like Fabregas, Arshavin. Being a town supporter, that was the first time I'd ever really seen these sort of players. On the letter we got for the mascot, they said, you know, that under no circumstances will you be allowed in the dressing room. But when we turned up, Ian McPartland had said that we could all go in the dressing room, so we went in there, had our picture taken with all the players, got all the autographs, had a chat with him, and like one of the best memories I have is we're going out to pitch to like take penalties at Aaron Lee Barrett, and I was walking through, looked up, and Arsene Wenger stood there, and like I was like about 2 feet away from Arsene Wenger, and I was just like, wow.
The start of the game was even the walkout was crazy, because you're used to kind of Portman Road. The match day experience is a little bit dry and a little bit basic, and they've got these kind of huge like fire projector thing. I don't know what the technical term is, and it totally caught me off guard, like huge massive plumes of fire into the air as the players walked out, which was nice and exciting. And yeah, we're North Stand then, and Martin Fuller runs to the North Stand end. God rest him, Martin Fuller, what absolute hero he was that night. But he did his kind of applause to the crowd and his thumbs up and all that kind of stuff, and you kind of think, this is really brilliant, and then kickoff happens and suddenly you're bricking it. But we started so well, and to consider that, I think a shout out as well for Ian McPartland is the manager for this one, or is in the dugout for this one. Paul Jewell is in the stands, kind of taking all the glory perhaps, but McPartland was in charge for the game that preceded this, where we got absolutely stuffed 7-0 by Chelsea in the FA Cup. And that's that, and being 19th in the league, Keane's just been sacked. Just the odds are totally stacked against us.
But the atmosphere was brilliant. Off the back of our form in the league and the Chelsea, the fans were magnificent. They come out, they backed us to the hilt. You know, they were loud, you know, intimidating. So it was brilliant walking out. And like you say, if you can get yourself up, you have to get yourself up for all games. But if you can't get yourself up for games like that, then you're in the wrong game. So once we had that reset of our mindset, it was big. And for me, it was a buzz. Like obviously going into the referee's room before meeting Fabregas and doing the bits and bobs you have to do before a game. And then walking out into an atmosphere like that was brilliant. But it gives you a lift. It's like, come on, let's do something here, rather than, you know, intimidating. It's like, oh my God, wow. I think it lifted us all.
Our team on paper might not have matched them, but it didn't matter, because on that day we fully deserved it. And bizarrely, we beat Arsenal 1-0 with a goal coming in the 78th minute, and obviously it plays into the 1978 Cup final links, almost like it was written.
It's all about Priskin's goal, wasn't it? I remember Colin Healy, I mean, barely remember his name, but he managed to dink it over the top, didn't he? And Priskin ran in and finished like Thierry Henry used to do for Arsenal, just curling it into that bottom right corner. And obviously everyone went berserk. We were talking about it last night as a family and saying that alongside with the Anderson goal in the playoffs was the most noise that crowd has made for, you know, over the last 10, 15 years. It was absolutely fantastic.
When he first got put through, I wasn't sure. I was thinking it's not an easy chance. As much as it's a one-on-one, the angle was a bit direct, and obviously he'd missed the chance before and had done. And so, I mean, he's gone through, and you just think, hopefully he will. But I wasn't expecting him to score. It was just, go on, Thomas, what you got? And to be fair, his composure was brilliant, and it's a great finish. And the celebrations then, because obviously, you know, then it was into the second half. The atmosphere was brilliant, and then it gives us something to hold on to. If you go down 1-0 against Arsenal, and they're going to try and just keep the ball, and you get a bit frustrated, it's going to be hard. You can lose a bit of faith. But knowing then, oh, we've got something now. We can hang on to this. Let's either try and go again, or it lifted everyone to stay in the game and stay on top of the game. And so it was a great feeling when it went in. And obviously the atmosphere was unbelievable.
I remember it seemed literally forever for the ball to go past, I think it was Chesney, and to sort of roll towards the goal. And I don't want us to be like all dramatic, say time stood still, but it literally felt like time stood still. And then the ball hit the back of the net, and I just remember bedlam. Like it's you know, the Britannia stand block JJ, it's not a place that goes mental very often, but I remember it being absolute carnage, people jumping up and down, you know, just, it's like when Anderson scored against Norwich in the first leg of the playoff semi-final. That kind of, you never hear the whole ground sound as loud as it does, apart from those one or two moments, and those one or two moments stick with you more than most other things. And me and my dad went mental. He's not a person who normally goes mental that much, but he did. And another thing I remember that's really, really funny, a couple of rows in front of us, just on the end, where there was a bloke, and he seemed to be on his own. And when the goal went in, everyone went mental. And my dad clocked it and I didn't. He just sort of sat there, he didn't really do anything. Obviously, loads of Arsenal fans from the area had bought tickets to come to the game because, you know, they weren't. Clearly, he wasn't an Ipswich fan, so he just had to stand there or sit there and not make any reaction when the goal went in, which was quite funny. I don't know if he'd have jumped up if they'd have scored, but yeah, it's just one of those funny things to remember.
I have a great memories from this game. Of course, a little bit I was disappointed after the game because I scored the winning goal, but as you said, I had a few more chances to score maybe another one. So as a striker, I was a little bit disappointed after the game, but I think it was a massive and a great result from the team that we could beat this Arsenal. So I was really happy and really satisfied that I could score the winning goal and we won the game. And many times I watched these goals. Of course, it's a great feeling for me, and I will never forget these special moments.
We were in the lower north and right near a gangway, and sort of everybody was running down there. And I just remember some lads behind. I'll never forget. They were just, all they were doing is shouting and screaming. They just kept shouting, "That's why we go. That's why we go." And I just thought, what a moment! Like you know, you're never going to see that again for a long time. Obviously, that was right, but you know, it was just that was the games like that is why you support your football team. And you know, hopefully, those times will return soon, but they don't look like it at the moment. But it was just unbelievable. And I think I'll never forget, I think it was Carlos Edwards, he almost scored a second right at the end. And I thought, imagine if we'd have gone 2-0 and taken that to the Emirates, because we would have given a proper chance.
I don't think Priskin or the players really knew what to do. I just remember bouncing around the North Stand with my brother, just euphoric really. And we managed to hold on, and quite comfortably, surprisingly comfortably. You know, to win 1-0 against a team like Arsenal for the Fabregas, Arshavin, Chesney, who's obviously Juventus' goalie now, and then Wilshere, Giroud, who plays at the back. He played in the World Cup for Switzerland. You know, it was an amazing night, an amazing result. And like I said at the start, you know, to have that with the town so full and there was a buzz around the town, it was amazing. And the journey home, obviously, being fun with the Arsenal season ticket holder as well.
And then, final whistle. And I mean, I know even then, and even straight after the game, it was like, okay, we're probably going to lose in the second leg. It's probably not going to happen over 2 legs. I mean, Bradford against Villa is literally the only time I can think of off the top of my head where a team has upset a Premier League team over 2 legs in that stage of the competition. That second leg's horrible because actually, look back on it, we were really close to pulling it off, and it just got away from us. But the first leg was special enough, even without going to Wembley, just because it's kind of made a cult hero of Thomas Priskin. It's made a cult hero of most of that team. It's also made a cult hero of Ian McFarlane, who obviously was the caretaker manager at the time, because anyone in a Ipswich Town quiz in 50 years' time is going to have to look up the stats, and that managed 2. One was a 7-0 loss. One was a 1-0 win against Arsenal. I think in our history, that's quite a little unique stat to have.
I remember Fabregas after the game just completely moaning that we were like a rugby team, just whatever we needed to do to get a result and take a win to the Emirates next week.
Relief to, you know, we've restored a bit of pride, give something a bit back to the fans. Obviously, it's a massive win. It's Arsenal, and you've just beaten them 1-0 in a semi-final. So it was huge. It was a huge, nice feeling. Then I had that little spat with Fabregas. Obviously, after having been in the referee's room, and we'd said about I'd asked for his shirt, swapping shirts, and obviously he had again, we'd roughed him up a little bit. We'd got in their faces. He didn't like it. He dived a couple of times. You know, we got in his face. We did same with a couple of the other players, knowing that we could probably try and get into their heads for that way, and it worked. And so, come the end of the game, he had a sulk on. So I still thought, right, I've always been, when the game's done, it's done. I have spats on the pitch all the time with players, but I always shake hands and smile and laugh and joke about it at the end. And as I've gone to shake his hand, he's whacked my hand away. And then so I was a bit fuming with him, thinking, you blah, blah, blah. Right, you sulky baby. But so I was all over the place. I was a bit like frustrated, like angry with that, but then I was buzzing with the results, seeing the fans and everything. But overall, it was just, like I said, a bit of everything. Relief. You know, we just had that battering. We'd given something back for the fans. It was a big result anyway, and it gave us some hope going into our next games.
This was not a fluky victory either. This was well deserved. The stats show that Arsenal had more of the possession, but we had the better chances, and it's one of those ones where you come away thinking we absolutely deserve it. And it's one of those games where you come away thinking, well, this is why I go to watch football, because the season had been rubbish. You mentioned that we're 19th in the league and Keane's gone, and you think, well, this is a team bereft of confidence off the back of that Chelsea defeat, and yet 29,000 people in the ground. Nights at Portman Road are always the best, and suddenly from nowhere, this performance. I mean, yes, we're not going to follow it up at the Emirates. Let's get that out there straight away. But still, it's these kind of matches that keep you coming back, gives you the hope, the false hope that maybe sometimes things will be better in the future. And an example of where we took the cup seriously for once. Cup runs can distract from rubbish seasons. If only we kept doing that, you know.
The second leg was the second leg. You know, we got to sort of 65 minutes and it was still 0-0, and you think, could we do this? But obviously we were never going to. But yeah, that first leg at Portman, what a night. Just such a special night, and hopefully one that will, you know, those times will return. But yeah, just so unexpected. It was just like, you know, after losing to Chelsea by a massive scoreline, you think, well, you know, Arsenal with Fabregas, and I think Koscielny played, Danielson, Walcott was in that team, I think. You know, they had a good team. That wasn't like a sort of, you know, second string Arsenal team. I'm sure they were missing some sort of first team players, but we've got Colin Healy versus Cesc Fabregas in midfield, and it was just, yeah, I don't know. How did they beat that Arsenal team? I'll never know. But what a night! What a special night! Brilliant.
I walked out with Mark Kennedy, and then sort of next year you've got Arshavin, Cesc Fabregas, and you know we've got a team like Colin Healy, like you said, and Jamie Peters and people like that, and you just think it's never going to get a win in a million years. But we put in such a good performance, and you know I've watched it back, and we were really good, and Priskin took his goal brilliantly. And the memories of him scoring that is just that'll stay with me forever.
Overall, I think we restored a little bit of pride after the previous games and the way the league was going. Give the fans something to shout and cheer about. And like we said before, it is one of them nights that we spoke about, years, even now, like we're 10 years on, and it will still be spoke about. So it's nice to have been part of that as well.
It's quite a shame, really, that this is the only thing that we talk about nowadays. I mean, apart from the playoffs in 2014-15, we haven't had much of a fun or good times, really. It's all gone downhill from since Heavens, which of course this is one of our biggest games we can talk about under him. But yeah, it was a good day. Delighted going home. Really hope we could beat Arsenal, just keep that average score down to 1-0 and just take a 0-0 at Emirates. But obviously, good day overall. Hope we get another one like it soon.